I'm supposed to be dressed like Don. I couldn't find a tie. Maybe I can track a clip art black tie onto me. In general, Mad Men has excellent pacing. The show stitches its moments of big change together with really interesting character arcs to create some of the best TV ever. But not in this episode. I gotta be real with you guys, I'm wearing sweatpants. Season 6, Episode 6, for immediate release, is the episode where Mad Men jumps the shark for me. Pete, Joan, and Cooper meet with an underwriter in the office to talk about taking the company public. This is the first time the audience hears about an IPO, and this is the first time they are meeting with the banker.
We'd sell 400,000 additional shares to the public at $9 a share.
Even at $9 a share, your part of the company alone will be worth nearly $1 million.
In today's money, that is $10 million. Pete would get 20 million in stock, and Roger, Cooper, and Don would each get around 50 million in stock. This is a lot of money for all the characters, especially Joan and Pete, but they sort of downplay if Don will be interested because he's already rich.
I don't think Don cares about money.
That may be true, God bless him.
But I think that that's kind of wrong. Cooper, presumably richer than Don and as rich or richer than Roger, also wants to IPO. I don't think going public is really going to change the power structure that much at the company, and as we see later in the episode, Don has no problem with adding partners. Just seems odd to me they don't even want to ask Don if he wants generational wealth in exchange for diluting his power at the company at all. If there's one thing rich guys like, it's more money. We cut to Roger having pillow talk with an airline hostess. How can Roger go twice in one afternoon? I thought this guy had like 2 heart attacks.
Do you want my flowers? I'm quite done with them.
Thank you, Mother.
Absolutely fucking got her ass, Marie. Let's go.
Wealthy, talented, handsome. I would not leave them alone.
Loving that Matthew Weiner put a character that looks just like him in the show, only for Marie to call him handsome. I see what you're doing, Matthew, but you'll never be him.
I'd love to discuss some things with you.
Let's enjoy our reprieve.
Of course.
One of Pete's main character traits in the series is that he barges into Don's office to annoy him. So it feels too convenient that Pete decides that this is actually a waste of Don's time and I won't bother him with this. Tell him that you're about to absolutely juice his net worth.
Did he say your dinner with Jaguar's off?
Well, it's on, but Pete's not invited.
Roger, you slippery son of a bitch. Then we jump to a creative meeting at CGC with Ted Shaw, Frank Gleason, and Jim Cutler. Quick aside about Ted Shaw. The show spends a lot of time showing us that Don is one of the greatest creative directors in New York, and people come to the agency specifically for him. My issue with Ted is the show just tells us that he's good like that. We don't get the time with him to really fully respect his abilities and believe him as a creative director on a similar level as Don. These guys are discussing their pitch for Chevy when Frank Gleason drops this.
Ted, I've got cancer.
What?
Ted looks like Steve Buscemi. Can't unsee it once you see it. This reveal reminds me of when they tell us that Anna Draper has cancer, and while we've met Anna a few times at that point, we don't really know her that well, but we know that Don loves Anna, and we know that her having cancer is gonna crush Don, and we love Don. So that hurts us. When Frank is like, I have cancer, I'm like, shoot, dang. We just don't know Frank, and we don't really know Ted either. So at the airport, Daisy tips off Roger that there's a businessy looking guy who maybe needs an advertising agency. Now I'm fully prepared to take this on the chin in the comments that I just don't get this, but Daisy says on the phone call she doesn't know who this guy is. Does she just have a hunch that this is like a guy in marketing at Chevy or something like that? This is the guy you want to meet with. I don't know who he is. Maybe I missed something. Tell me about it in the comments. Anyways, Roger shows up, he meets the guy, he goes Roger mode. Boom, they got a meeting. Cooper comes into Pete's office and says,
pending due diligence, we're done. At $11 a share.
Wow, that was fast. This IPO thing is sure moving quickly. I hope it doesn't get rugged out from underneath us halfway through the episode. Don, Megan, and Marie go meet Herb from Jaguar and his wife at dinner. Marie gets a sick burn in on this lady.
Mon Dieu. Écoute-moi, cet idiote.
I love the lady they got to play his wife. Give her a Golden Globe.
Each one at its own nipple.
I love puppies.
Don gets a sick burn in on Herb.
You know the somersaults I'm doing?
Really? Man your size.
And fires Jaguar. And we know that Don hates Herb for a bunch of reasons. Mainly because he forced Joan into a situation where she needed to trade her body for the business. And Don obviously has a lot of trauma around prostitution, growing up in a brothel, and getting assaulted at a young age by a prostitute. So this is clearly a long time coming, and it makes sense that Don would want to fire Jaguar so bad. I just think it happens in an episode that is so full of other important stuff happening that it really gets stepped on. Pete runs into his father-in-law and client, Tom Vogel, at a brothel. And the next day, Pete goes into Ken's office to get advice because Ken's father-in-law is also a client of the agency. Quick sidebar about Ken. He's perhaps the biggest victim of the show becoming silly after this. In the next 3 episodes, Ken is forced to get into a car accident at gunpoint, kind of, and then he gets literally shot in the face and loses his eye. Okay, sure, what the hell? Ken assures Pete that Tom isn't going to say anything because it's mutually assured destruction. They're both just going to keep their mouths shut because that will be what is best for the family and the businesses. Spoiler alert, wrong. And then they get a call and the rest of the office finds out that Don has fired Jaguar. Whoa, slow down, Pete, you're gonna slip.
As usual, you have acted impulsively and harmed the company irreparably.
Pete makes a good point here that Don does do just whatever he wants. But Don makes a better point, being like, why the fuck didn't you tell me we were about to IPO? It feels more like a plot convenience for them not to tell all the partners about the IPO. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you've seen all of Mad Men and you know they get Chevy. Things start going good, and it seems like there's plenty of other opportunities to initiate the IPO, but they just don't. And then Roger bursts in and says it's actually good that we lost Jaguar because we just got a meeting with Chevy and we were gonna have to let Jaguar go anyways. This is frustrating as an audience because we don't really have any time to see how everybody processes the loss of Jaguar. You know, it's like, we do see everybody's initial reactions where they're really pissed at Don, but kind of immediately it's remedied, and I don't think that's very good. But Joan still gets some shots in.
Don't you feel 300 pounds lighter?
I don't. Honestly, Don, if I could deal with him, you could deal with him.
She's right. She's right.
Just once, I would like to hear you use the word we. Because we're all rooting for you from the sidelines. Hoping that you'll decide whatever you think is right for our lives.
Oh, she's right. She's right. Yeah, everybody's pissed off at Don, but they have a shot at Chevy, which would be huge for the company. So Don's got 5 days to make one of the best creative pitches he's ever made. Can't wait to see that process. Be a shame if they did it off screen. We jump back to CGC to hear Ted tell us more stuff. We do not care, brother. Put the Chevy pitch in the bag. Thank you. Fuck it. Kiss. Who cares? Yeah, okay. Everybody wants to kiss Peggy all the time. Okay, now we're at the airport. I guess that Don worked around the clock for 5 days to make the Chevy pitch? Okay. Yeah, no, I didn't want to see the creative process of in the show about advertising executives. You're right. I didn't realize this until rewatching this episode. This is Lou Avery.
What are the billings for VIX? 9 million? Someone's gonna pick that up. Any of you have a cough drop? I know they don't.
Another sick burn alert. Ken and Pete were wrong. There is no mutually assured destruction. Vic Chemical pulled the business, and you know, what are you gonna do? Should have seen that one coming. And now we've lost Jaguar and Vic Chemical in the same episode that we're going to pitch to Chevy. Things are moving.
Well, apparently you didn't get any of my calls, so I came down here to your lair.
Why does Pete say stuff like he's in What We Do in the Shadows every once in a while?
Maybe McCarthy. Worst case, Kennedy.
I love Bobby Kennedy.
Fine. If that's what you want.
Look at this Pepe Le Pew looking ass. And here in the last 11-ish minutes of the episode is where so many things start to happen. Okay, Don is in his hotel in Detroit and he can't sleep, so he goes down to the hotel bar. Shortly after, Ted walks in. Ted is upset to see Don, not because he thinks Don will beat him, but he assumes that Chevy is just going to poach the small agencies' ideas and give them to the large agencies. And I guess we're just kind of supposed to trust Ted about this. He goes on this speech about how Chevy and GM, they fight the war with bodies on the ground. But I mean, spoiler alert, if you've seen the rest of the show, they don't open up a Detroit office or anything like that. They just move one guy out there. They just move Bob Benson out to Detroit, and that's it. So that's kind of a hollow point. So this again is just it's Ted going explain mode on our asses. Don ultimately though agrees with Ted, and for the hell of it, they swap their creative ideas. And this is the first time we hear Ted give a creative pitch, but it just doesn't feel like on the same level as what Don can do. But then when they get talking about both of their agencies, Don says that they both have the creative. So even Don is like, whoa, Ted's kind of good at this, which doesn't feel very Don to me. Okay, so then these jabronis start to explore the idea of merging their agencies.
How would that even work? Probably me. I'll have to figure out a way to make Chevy think it was their idea to combine our agencies. And then the other one, let's say it was you. We'll have to figure out what the hell we're going to present.
Okay, wait, Don. So not only do you think you guys need to merge agencies, you need Chevy to think it was their idea. My other problem with this episode is I'm like, who the fuck are the guys at Chevy? The only guy at Chevy we know is Mikey, and we never see him again after that one scene in the airport. And also, like, Don thinks that the client needs to suggest that two agencies that are coming in for a pitch should combine? What? Looks like our boys are gonna be working all night. Can't wait to see that. Oh, it's the morning. They're about to walk into the pitch. Okay, I guess they figured everything out off screen. Well, hey, at least we'll be able to get to see Don execute his crack plan and have Ted present their crazy creative at the meeting. This will be exciting. Wait, we're back in New York. We don't see the pitch. We don't see Chevy think it's their own idea to merge the agencies. And Chevy bought the idea in the room? What the fuck is going on? What the hell is going on? We're not even gonna get to see what Mikey from Chevy thought? Our good friend Mikey from Chevy?
What? What are you talking about?
Thank you, Peggy.
Are we moving?
We are. And we'd like you to write the press release.
Oh, that's how you spell chaw. Okay, quick summary of stuff that just happened in this episode. Joan, Pete, and Cooper try to IPO the company and it fails. Don fires Jaguar. Vic Chemical fires the agency. Roger gets a pitch for Chevy with 5 days notice. The creative team creates the pitch off screen. We meet Frank Gleason. He reveals he has cancer. We'll see him one more time before he dies off screen in 2 episodes. Ted comes on to Peggy because why the hell not? While in Detroit, Don and Ted decide to merge agencies and their creative and pitch to Chevy together and hope that the client suggests they merge their businesses. They do the creative pitch off screen. They win the business off screen. They merge agencies off screen, kind of. And then Peggy goes Sex in the City mode at a typewriter, Carrie Bradshaw style. Oh, also, Don, Marie, and Lou all have sick burns. That this is the episode where everything kind of gets silly. The slow, saucy burn of seasons 1 to 4 isn't really present here. And now stuff is just kind of happening. Some stuff I would have liked to see is Pete and Joan maybe freaking out at Don for making another leadership decision without them again. And it feels out of character for Don to partner up with a rival so quickly. Like when I was watching it and Ted was asking to hear Don's idea, for a second, I thought that Ted was gonna hear it, steal it, and then go in and present that to Chevy. Don has to think of something on the spot and does it because he's Don, and then they win Chevy that way. That could have been interesting. And I went on Reddit and I looked up this episode to see if anybody was saying any of this stuff, and people were defending it saying, did you really need to see another creative development process? Did you really need to see another pitch? And yeah, I think we did. The whole show, every couple episodes, we're in the room with a client. We're in there seeing creative get developed. I like that part of the show. I would have liked to seen that. And the stuff that they put in the episode instead was jarring and confusing. Up until this point, Mad Men has been so good at showing us their world. And then in this episode, they just do a lot of telling us about it. It's melancholy to watch an elite show take a downturn, but it's also kind of fun. I like when a show is absolutely elite for 5 seasons, and then it starts to fall off a cliff. Not you. I loved Mad Men seasons 1 to 4. And to say that it takes a downturn is a little pessimistic. Instead, I am trying to look at it as it's returning to the mean of what a show is more likely to be over the course of its run. I don't want to make it seem like the later seasons are so bad they ruin the show. It's not true. The later seasons are just different. Anyways, I'm halfway through season 7. I don't know how the show ends, but I hope it's absolutely Looney Tunes. And I think one of the best things about the early seasons is that the relationship between Don and Peggy is really compelling. You're rooting for Peggy and you love to see a softer side of Don sort of mentoring an up-and-coming copywriter. And I feel like the showrunners were like, we need to get that back. So let's just smash some plot together to make sure that Peggy and Don can be in the same room again. And listen, I don't hate that idea. I just don't really like the way it came together in this episode. Thanks for watching. I've always wanted to make a video essay. Special shout outs to Cosmonaut Variety Hour, Lindsay Ellis, and Alt Shift X. I love those guys. And I hope to one day make a video essay half as good as theirs. But I think on this channel, I'm just gonna be making video essays about what the hell ever. I also have a video idea kicking around about folks that are new to hockey in 2026. Heated rivalry in the Olympics has brought an influx of new fans into the sport. And I think I'm the guy who could really like, you know, make a video for like, hey, the playoffs are coming up. If you're first time watching hockey, this is the stuff you should look for. These are the teams you should root for, kind of thing. Anyways, seriously, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I would love it if you subscribed. Hell, even liked. Leave a comment. I'm not that smart. I probably said dumb stuff in this video. Comment about it. Comment where you disagree. Let's get into a fight. I would love that. Thanks, guys.